With a lot of uncertainty surrounding the New York Mets infield, we are discussing one potential free agent target, and that is Bo Bichette, who hits the open market after a pretty good offensive campaign in 2025. Before we discuss this idea of Bo Bichette this offseason, make sure to smash those thumbs up buttons and subscribe to the channel for all of your Mets offseason content needs, news, rumors, videos like this that are discussing free agent possibilities and what could be possible for the New York Mets in the infield given the uncertainties. And as always, comment your thoughts and opinions down below. Do you think that this is a good or bad idea? And we're talking about this right here, and I'm giving my opinion. Before I do, this is what a lot of fans are talking about right now with Bo Bichette, especially given the uncertainty at second base in particular. You have Jeff McNeil, who I think a lot of people are now speculating whether he'll be back to finish out that last year of his Mets contract or whether the Mets are going to float him out there on the trading block. And you also have Brett Baty, who has the capability of playing a very competent second base if McNeil were to be traded, although his natural position, his primary position is third base as well. What do the Mets do with that Baty McNeil tandem? Well, SNY Mets, per their Twitter account, is also talking about this idea of Bo Bichette and the pros and cons of the Mets targeting him this offseason. Now, for those of y'all who do not know, he sustained a knee sprain in September that kept him out a lot of games going into the playoffs, and he was just barely able to make it back to the World Series for that series and that heartbreaking series against the Dodgers in 7 games, where he hit really well. I think he had a 348 batting average with over a 900 OPS in that series, but he was forced to play second base for the Blue Jays because of that knee injury. He was coming back quicker than he probably should have, but he wanted to be out there on the field, and understandably so. That is very noble of him. But can he make that permanent transition? Because that was the first time ever that we've seen Bo Bichette play any position outside of shortstop, and his shortstop defensive abilities are not great historically with the errors, the lack of range, the lack of arm strength. It's been a nightmare at shortstop for Bo Bichette. Pretty much in every season, maybe outside of 2024 and perhaps 2023 as well. When you take a look at outs above average, defensive runs saved, and just total errors combined. But I think that this would be a really bad idea for the New York Mets to go ahead and pursue, even given the uncertainties surrounding McNeil and Brett Baty and how that dynamic is going to work. Because we've talked about a lot of free agents already that could fit the bill of maybe coming in and playing second base or third base as well. And there are some free agents that we haven't talked about on the channel that we will in the near future that are just better value and have better value for the Mets if they were to pursue them over Bo Bichette. Listen, this market value per Spotrac just under $200 million, 8 years worth 186.4 million is just too steep of a price point, and it's just not worth it. Not that the Mets don't have the ability to dish out that kind of money for Bo Bichette or anybody else that's looking for that kind of range of money, but it's just a bad idea for Bichette in general because outside of his offensive game, I just mentioned no base running abilities. He's not going to steal bases. And with his injury history, and that's something that we have to talk about as well with Bo Bichette, is his injury history, primarily that knee sprain in 2025, but also a plethora of injuries that kept him out and limited him to only 89 games in the season prior in 2024. You know, there's if you're paying $186.4 million just because you want to insert somebody into this lineup to make it a better lineup, there's a lot of other ways to do so by adding competent bats that can also provide more on the bases and defensively, which Bo Bichette can't. Listen, he's 27 years old. Bichette's going to be 28 years old by the time the 2026 season rolls around. And I think that this would just be a detrimental contract to give out once you enter maybe year 3, 4, 5 of this contract. And he's going to be a future DH. I know that the Mets also need a DH, but I'm not paying somebody 8 years to be a DH for this Mets team this offseason. Absolutely not. And they would go against everything that David Stearns has already stated, and his philosophy of this run prevention by going out there and dishing out this kind of money for a guy that doesn't play good defense. I mean, the defensive alignment with McNeil and Brett Beatty is just light years ahead of what would be the defensive alignment with Bo Bichette entering the picture, and that is for certain. But you take a look at the disparity here between 2024 and 2025, only 89 games, like I mentioned, because the injuries are something that also has to scare a lot of teams that are even thinking about giving him anywhere near this contract valuation. And you're talking about teams like the Blue Jays who are trying to re-sign him. Maybe the Atlanta Braves could think about splurging and getting an infielder, especially middle infielder. The New York Yankees are rumored to maybe have some interest, as well as a handful of other teams like the Detroit Tigers trying to bolster their infield as well. But a 225 batting average across 89 games in 2024, only 4 home runs, 31 RBIs, and he came back with a full vengeance in 2025, over 139 games, 311 in terms of batting average, if you care about that, 840 OPS, 18 home runs, 94 RBIs, and he reduced his strikeout rate to 14.5%, which is pretty good given how much of a free swinger he actually is. He does not walk at a high rate. And he's a little bit of a free swinger. Like I said, the chase percentage is through the roof if you take a look at the Baseball Savant page. And given that, I know that he has pretty much led the American League in hits twice in his career so far in his early career, but I would like to see those power numbers go up. If you are going to be swinging and chasing a lot of these pitches, that enters a whole new level of a hole in your game that pitchers can exploit. I would expect somebody like that to be hitting 25 to 30 home runs, not capping out at 18 in a pretty good offensive season in 2025. That's something that also concerns me with the trend of Bo Bichette. Can he add power into this lineup, or is he going to be a perpetual high average kind of guy that is really not going to give you many home runs to insert into your lineup? And so for all these reasons, I'm out on Bo Bichette. I'm pretty sure that this has been a clear point by me. I know a lot of Mets fans might really want him in this lineup. And you take a look at the offensive struggles, especially to open up the season for the Mets lineup. If you take away Pete Alonso, if he walks in free agency, now we're really scratching our heads. But like I said, this offseason, in free agency in particular, there's a lot of positional fits for the New York Mets to go out there and pursue. Alex Bregman's out there. Cody Bellinger's out there, right? Take a look at some of these Japanese sluggers coming over in Okamoto that we've talked about. A lot of these guys that, are defensive upside guys that you can insert into this lineup that'll give you similar power production, and you don't lack that defensive capability with them like you do with Bo Bichette. So Mets fans, let me know. I'm out on Bo Bichette, but that does not mean that you have to be out on Bo Bichette. Make your case if you are in favor of the Mets going after him for this price point as well. Like I said, that's just a complete no from me. As always, for more videos like this, more free agent targets, more trade talks and rumors surrounding our New York Mets, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the thumbs up button right here on this video. Check out all the previous content. And until next video, I'm out. Peace.